to see.
Alright, so we're looking at Tony Rice's guitar break on the song Rock Hearts from the Bluegrass Album Band Volume 5. He takes half of a break here, half of a verse, leaving the mandolin to pick it up. So we're going to break this into 5 concise chunks. We're going to kind of take a look at what he's doing here with his notes, and then we'll talk about what's happening with the melody here and his unique approach to how he handles soloing on this song. So let's play it at 70% and then get right to it.
To see.
Tony's in the key of A. He's capoed on the 2nd fret playing out of the G position. So when I talk about note names or fret numbers, I'm talking relative to the capo, not relative to the nut. So keep that in mind as we go forward. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm going to break this into 5 chunks, 5 concise licks that should be fairly accessible. There is a little bit of syncopation between some of the licks that we'll talk about, but it shouldn't give you too much grief, okay? So let's take a look at the first lick. This starts off the whole solo and it sounds like this. Alright, so let's unpack that. He starts on beat 4, which he usually does in all of his solos, and he's starting in 3rd position. Okay, so when I say 3rd position, I mean your first finger is going to line up with the 3rd fret. That means your 2nd finger is going to line up with the 4th fret, your 3rd finger is going to line up with the 5th fret, and your pinky finger is going to line up with the 6th fret, okay? So he's in 3rd position, and you're going to take your 3rd finger and you're going to bar it on the 5th fret across the B string and the G string, okay? Okay, you're going to play that double stop as a downstroke. Then you're going to rock it back to the 3rd fret with your 1st finger and play those same 2 strings. And now that B flat that your 1st finger's on the G string, you're going to hammer on to the next fret with your 2nd finger. Okay, so it sounds like this. And then catch an open G. Those are all downstrokes. Alright, that is a concise little nugget of a lick that you can throw in everywhere. Tony does, so do it. Cool. Now, after that open G is going to catch an F natural, your 1st finger on the D string, and then an open D, and then an open G, that 1st finger B flat again, 2nd finger B natural, and then you're going to rock all the way over to the E string, 3rd fret, 1st finger to catch that G, and you're going to kind of hang out in this kind of bluesy pentatonic hand shape. Kind of that kind of thing, okay? So after that G, you've got a 4th finger F natural on the B string, down to a 1st finger D, and then pinky on the E string. That's going to catch that B flat all the way up top, okay? So here's that first lick again. Cool, that's it. Now, this is going to lead us right into the 2nd lick. Okay, now the 2nd lick is going to start in 3rd position, but pretty quickly it's going to shift back into 3rd position, so just be mindful of that. So here's the 2nd lick. This is what it sounds like. Okay, a little bit of syncopation there at the end that we're going to watch out for. So 1st finger G, F natural again, D. Okay, so those 3 notes are still in 3rd position. 1, 4, 1. Then you're going to shift into 1st position with your 2nd finger for that D flat. That's that 2nd finger on the B string. And you're going to pull off from that D flat to that C natural below it. And that's an upstroke on that one. Okay. 3rd finger B flat on the G string, open G, and then pinky C on the G string. Okay. And then you've got 2 of those. And there's a little syncopation. They're both upstrokes. Okay, so here's that 2nd lick again in time, really slow. Shift. Cool, so at the end you kind of feel like there's a little syncopation. Okay, first 2 licks together sound like this. Alright, now the 3rd lick is going to pick up right where we left off with the 2nd lick. I'm going to start with that last C note I just played, okay? And I'm going to wait a whole beat before I move again. Okay, so I'm holding that C from the last time, then I've got 1 finger A, that C again, back to that A, then I'm going to go down a string for the F sharp with my 3rd finger, catch the A again, a hammer on from F natural to F sharp, and then open D, C, and then open A twice. Okay, so that third lick. Right, little syncopation at the start, but then it evens out, right? Right, and this is all over that 5 chord, that D chord, okay? Right, so if I'm gonna play the second and third lick, this is what it sounds like with that syncopation. Cool, not too crazy. Yes, there's a little bit of syncopation, but you got that. All right, now the fourth lick, this is where things get a little bit harder to feel, so just be mindful that this one might take a little bit of extra practice because there are a couple of awkward string crossings, okay? So, no space between the third lick and the fourth lick. We're just going to go right into it, okay? And this is what it sounds like. Okay. So you start open D, second finger E. So you're going to slide up into that F sharp, and then catch your first finger with that D. Okay. So I like using my second finger, so I've got room for my first finger to come behind it. Okay, so D, E, F sharp, high D. Then you're going to play that F sharp and high D again. Then you're going to play that F sharp one more time, and it's going to slide back into that E again. And then you're going to catch your first finger for the C. Okay. Oops, I cut an extra string. All right, that is a tricky string crossing because you're not hitting the G string at all. If you do, slow it down and then really, really work on isolating those two strings as we go through it, okay? And that's going to take you into the fifth lick. But before we go there, let's put the third and fourth lick together. You'll hear how they fit together, okay? So starting on that syncopation again on that C. So you heard how there's no space between those two licks. You go right in from one into the next one, okay? Now, the end of the song, 5th fret, it's going to take us back into 3rd position again. So I'm going to start on an upstroke on D, and you'll hear what happens, hopefully. Oops. There we go. That's what I meant to do. Okay, so you're starting on that upstroke on that D, and then G, open G, and then in 3rd position, you're gonna bar that that B flat and that D on an upstroke. This is what makes this one kind of tricky. It's an upstroke, hammer on, and you're going from B flat to B natural again. Use tunnel fingers so that you're not barring with your second finger, so you're not barring that B string again. And then you're going to catch an open G after that. Bar with your 3rd finger on the 5th fret, those same 2 strings. Open G again. Oops. Okay, so again, open D, open G. And then you end on an open G. Slide from your 2nd finger, use your 2nd finger from an F natural to a G. Catch that open G again, and then you've got a 16th note hammer on. So down, up. So modified G run at the end, okay? It's one that it's easy for you to feel. It's kind of difficult to slow down and talk about it, so I'll have to work on that, okay? So the whole song, slowly, really slowly, one more time from the very beginning. Oops. So shouldn't be too crazy there. You've got my transcription notes, so you should be in good shape, even if I didn't necessarily explain it very well. All right, so let's take a look at what the melody of the song is versus what Tony's doing, all right? Because we know that Tony oftentimes will take a very liberal approach when it comes to playing over the melody. He'll kind of use all of these Tony-isms and this kind of blues vocabulary, and a lot of times sometimes he does hit the target melodic notes and sometimes he doesn't. So let's take a look at what's actually happening here, okay? So this song, Rock Hearts, he's soloing over the first half of the verse, okay? So the first half of the verse, if I'm just reminding myself the melody, right? Tony's break. Okay, I heard the melody and I heard what Tony was doing, and I don't really think they really matched up all that well. So let's take a look at just the opening phrase. Do 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 do. So, right, if I was distilling it down to its basic parts, right, it's kind of that G arpeggio. Well, let's look at his opening phrase. Now, some of this is just setting it up too. All right, he lands, he emphasizes that B flat. That's not part of melody at all, right? Okay, and then transitioning to the D chord, right? Do 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 do. Right, that A note is that melodic target that we're trying to get to. His second verse is his second lick is what's trying to get us to that A target note. Let's hear what he does. All right, he lands on that C natural. That's not part of that melodic shape at all. Now he does hit A, but he just rocks back and forth a couple of times and he goes on. And he does catch a low A down there, but again, he doesn't hang out on it, all right? To him, I don't think he really thinks of it as like, oh, this is my apex note or the opposite of that or whatever that I'm really trying to emphasize, okay? So, I mean, it's just stuff like that. So if I was going to, like, as a guitar player, I just need to be very aware of this bias that we often have as guitar players, because when you listen to, I don't care who it is, if you listen to Brian Sutton or Steve Kaufman or whatever, oftentimes these monster flat pickers, these incredible musicians, when you ask them, what are you thinking about when you solo? Most of the time, their very number one tip is to really try to do the melody justice, get back to the melody, and as we see here, Tony's like kind of going away from that. So if as a guitar player, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with what Tony's doing, I'm just saying just be mindful of it, okay? So if I was going to take a solo on this, like in a jam session, maybe I'm not super familiar with Rock Hearts, so I really want to stick really close to that melody, I might try to do something like this. Try to do something similar to that just to adhere a little closer to the melody. Again, not saying Tony's doing anything wrong, just is what it is.
To let you see.